On today's show, we tackle bullying and overcoming adversity as we visit a local martial arts center, and later, a remarkable story of surviving the odds when the stacks are all up against you. It is a theme that we're calling building good out of bad situations. Let's go.
Hello and welcome. You're watching The Ledge. I'm your host, Lola Acala. So glad that you could join us on what is our second episode that we're calling Building Good Out of a Bad Situation. Now I'm here at Superior Martial Arts in Royal Oak, one of the newest and fastest growing mixed martial arts academies in Burnaby, to see how the folks here are getting empowered while building some inner and outer strengths. Now joining me now is owner and proprietor, Ty Reid. Hey Ty, how are you doing?
Fantastic, thanks for having me.
No, thanks for having us, and such a great place you have here.
Thank you.
How long has this academy been here?
Well, we're proud to say that we just went over the 2-year mark last week.
Very, very cool indeed. And what is Superior Martial Arts, and what are the activities that you actually cater to?
Well, we have martial arts and fitness programs for anyone from 3 years old, as
very cool.
Old as people would like to come, for both men and women. And we offer karate, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, and
very
boot
nice.
camps as well.
And a little bit of MMA, you say?
You know it.
Oh my goodness. Well, MMA is becoming really, very, very popular in Vancouver now.
Yes.
So I'm sure there's a lot of people who want, to come and learn or know a place where they can actually come and learn these kinds of moves.
Well, we're happy to have them here.
Okay, why don't we just go in and, check out some activities?
Sounds fantastic.
Okay, let's do it. Now we're back in here checking out some of the activities with the kids, and such a great place, Ty.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Now, one of the things I wanted to touch on is bullying. Bullying is such a huge problem in our society. I mean, kids are killing themselves, not able to live their potential. This is a huge problem in our society. Now, you guys have an incredible bullying program. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, other than our karate and our jiu-jitsu program, we do offer monthly anti-bullying seminars which focus around awareness, avoidance, and self-defense.
Pretty cool. And I see that you have a young man who's going to come on. Come on, Nate. Hello. And how are you?
Good.
What is your name?
Nathan.
Nathan, and how cute you are. Nathan, why do you like coming to Superior Martial Arts?
Because I like learning karate.
Wow. And have you been doing this for a long time?
Yes.
And you enjoy it a lot?
Yes.
That is so cool. Now, have you got a move that you'd like to show me?
All right, ready? Feet together. Bow. All right, hands up. All right, show me some punches, Nathan. Ready? Let's do some kicks. Good. And finish with a high block. High. Nice.
That is incredible, Nathan. Well, we are so glad that you joined us, and let me say thank you very much. Say bye.
Bye.
Wow, how cool is that to have little Nathan here. Now, just in talking about bullying, this is something that you've actually been through yourself.
Yes.
In fact, it took you having to experience and overcoming a bit of bullying to bring you to where you are today as owner and proprietor of your own academy.
Yes.
That is such a great story. Now, please, if you could, share a little bit about that with us.
Of course. I was bullied at a young age, about 6 years old, and I did not have the confidence or the tools to stand up for myself. My parents felt that it was very important for me to learn to stand up and defend myself, and they got me enrolled in martial arts at a very young age. I have taken that and been able to pass those lessons on to all these wonderful young students that we have here today, and I think that the lessons are something that will stick with me for life.
Wow, how inspiring is that? The idea that, you went through this and now you are empowering other kids. Wow, that is such an incredible story. Now, tell us a little bit about some of the women's programs that you cater to.
Well, we have programs for women. The specific one that I would say would be most interesting is our Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu program for women only. It focuses around self-defense, again, awareness and avoidance of any situations that they might find themselves in. It's always better to have the tools to defend yourself and not need them than to need them and not have them. I think it's a very empowering program for women.
I couldn't agree more. Maybe I might be signing up for some of these programs myself, but hold that thought because we're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, I'm going to introduce you to an incredibly strong woman herself. This is a story of overcoming adversity in a truly remarkable way. We'll be right back.
We are kids. Wish kids.
10,000 kids.
We are brave.
We are strong.
We are fighters.
Some days are good, some days are bad.
Some of us make it.
Some of us don't.
My wish will make me strong.
The Children's Wish Foundation of Canada.
Does a wish make a difference?
You bet.
You bet.
Imagine the difference a wish can make.
Only 2 more needles till my wish.
Please give today.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching The Ledge on what is our second episode that we're calling Building Good Out of a Bad Situation. This next story is one of surviving against all the odds, when the stacks are all up against you. Let's take a look.
Joining me in the studio is somebody who knows all too well about this subject. She's an award-winning author of 8 books. She's a TEDx talk speaker, a certified life coach, a playwright, and a performer. She is the unstoppable Dr. Valerie Mason-John. Hello.
Hi, Lola.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for that fantastic intro.
Indeed. Well, absolutely well deserved, indeed. And it's just a pleasure to have you here. Now, as I said in that intro, that you know much about this subject, and that's because you started and grew up in an orphanage. In fact, the famous Bernardo Children's Group Home in London, England. And it was there that some of these very difficult life experiences began. If you could, tell us a little bit about some of those difficult life, years.
Sure. I mean, it's interesting that you refer to Bernardo as being famous, because it's always very funny when I meet other people in England who have grown up in orphanages, and then it's like when they hear I've been in Bernardo's, oh, you're the middle class kids, we're the wealthy kids. But it's interesting because, when you're young, you don't really perceive your life as being tough or difficult. And what I'd say is it wasn't necessarily a safe place for kids. A lot of sexual abuse. I experienced sexual abuse in the orphanage. But I often say to people, don't feel sorry for me growing up in an orphanage. I feel sorry for you who grew up with your family.
Sometimes, indeed.
Exactly.
It was probably a worse situation for some who actually had families. Now, there's no doubt that these were very difficult years, and in order to probably, get over and maybe numb some of those experiences that you found yourself, having to, experience some substance abuse issues, it must have been really, really tough for you. Now, how bad did things get in those years? I
mean, it's interesting when you think of sexual abuse, because actually I'd say like 95% of women who have eating disorders were sexually abused. There's a
even
very high
without
correlation.
that, I think a lot of women in some form or another in their lives have experienced that.
And I would say, as a kid, my first substance was shoe conditioner. We used to sniff this stuff called Zoff. It was a bit like playing Space Invaders. And then what's really interesting is I got addicted to shoplifting. When you're sexually abused, somebody is stealing something from you, taking something from you, and actually you act it out from stealing.
Different ways.
Exactly. And I shoplifted, and I wasn't very good at it because I got caught several times, and then I was incarcerated at the age of 15, and I was in actually Holloway prison.
Wow, for women,
at the age of 15, and then went to Bulwood Hall. So I was inside for about 18 months, but that was a real turning around for me, and I just knew that I didn't want to continue living that life.
Well, indeed, and you were able, through sheer will of mind and knowing that you absolutely do deserve much better and didn't have to accept or believe the lot that life had for you. You went on to university, you studied some journalism, you studied philosophy, you did a postgraduate. Tell us a little bit about, some of the journey that you had to go through in order to really, become the real person that you are today, instead of the person that life almost made you into.
I say that my journey really began when I was about 13 or 14, and I took my life into my own control. As a kid, I was put in some very unsafe spaces, and I made a decision to live on the streets at the age of 14, 15, because it was safer to be on the streets. But then I knew that I'd made a really difficult decision, didn't know how to get out of that decision, and part of me hoped that I would get caught shoplifting. And when I came out, I made a new decision. I was fortunate, I had an education, and I was very lucky. I had a woman who was in one of the children's homes that I was put into, a short stay one. They were called assessment centres, and she offered to foster me. And you know, she had a lot of pressure not to do it, but you know, I suppose in a way I was a success. So when I came out of Borstal, I went to live with her. I was 17, and I did my O-levels, I did my A-levels, and I went to university. But at the same time, while I was being successful academically, it was then when I took on an eating disorder, and I became extremely anorectic. And then I was so physically active that my body couldn't cope, and so I flipped into the bulimia. And you know, that traveled with me, the bulimia and the anorexia traveled with me for, you know, a good 20 years. And you know, it's interesting, I was successful during that time. Like, you know, I'd written books, I was working as an international correspondent covering Aboriginal land rights in Australia.
Now, you're an author of 8 books, and I believe that your book, The Great Black North, just won 2 literary awards recently. Now, I must congratulate you on that one. What does, you know, writing do for you?
It was a great privilege to work on The Great Black North, and I co-edited it with Kevan Anthony Cameron. And when I say it was a privilege for me to meet some of the pioneers in Canada, some of the black pioneers. So, you know, meeting George Eliot Clarke, who's, you know, one of Canada's best poets.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and
very talented,
you know, intellectual, academic, activist. And then to meet people like Lillian Allen, who was, you know, one of the founders of dub poetry in this country, and Afua Cooper as well, you know, who wrote The Hanging of Angelique, and people like Dwayne Morgan, Wade Compton from Vancouver, L. Jones.
Just an array of talented, amazing writers.
It was just such a huge privilege, and for me it really helped me arrive in Canada, because I needed to know what my black context was.
Indeed.
You know, I needed to know that.
That can be very difficult to find sometimes, but I always say, you know, we don't have to just fit into something, that we're all part of a greater, you know.
We are, and what's so amazing for me is that me being Sierra Leonean and my connection to Canada, which is quite amazing, you know, with Nova Scotia, and you know, many of the black loyalists going back to Sierra Leone. And my father, who I've never known, is a McCarthy.
Wow.
And there were McCarthys in Nova Scotia,
very much so.
who were shipbuilders. So that's very interesting,
to
you know,
find
wondering,
out.
you know, is that part of my lineage?
Yes.
And there's something about Nova Scotia that I do feel very connected to.
Now, we talked a little bit earlier on about the fact that you are a TEDx talk speaker. One of my favorite TEDx that I've ever seen, absolutely powerful in the way that, you know, you express some of these life experiences, and there you talk about something called your stinking thinking, involved with the idea of, you know, listening to those voices and those lies that people tell us about ourselves that really we ought not to be listening to. What is a stinking thinking?
It's a very good question. What I call this stinking thinking is these stories that we get caught up in, and the stories we believe. It's not so much the stories, it's the fact that we believe these stories that are happening in our heads, and we think they're fact.
And taking them on ourselves and believing whatever people say of us. Yes. Now, talking about bullying, we've seen how bullying has really affected much of the world. You know, this just doesn't happen on school playgrounds. We see this happening in offices. We see this happening in homes. You know, it's often the cause of much, you know, domestic violence, that we see this very idea and the need to overpower another person very negatively. You've become a bit of a bully ambassador yourself. Tell us a little bit about your work in that area.
Well, my work in that area really is to empower and enable people to do things differently. You know, one of the things that I do with young people is to teach them skills, because they know that adults can't protect them from bullying. They know that. But actually what I can do is give them skills, is for them to learn to be assertive, to learn to have their voice, and to learn to speak out. It's so difficult for a young child to speak out and say, this is happening to me. You know, and that's you know, when we can be assertive, we begin to break that lineage of bullying. I call it a lineage because it happens through generations.
People learn these things. These are learned behaviors. You know, when we look at how kids interact with one another, sometimes you see the innocence of children, and they have no, you know, preconceived notions. But the moment someone starts to teach a child how to hate, how to think negatively about other people, that's when, indeed, these things begin. And
what I would say is that, you know, I mean, human behaviour, you know, I think as humans, there's somewhere where it is innate that we do need to assert ourselves. Because, you know, in a way, for bullying to happen, there has to be two people involved. But it's how we respond to the bullying that actually the behaviour begins to spiral. And the other thing is just when I do one-to-one work with kids, is just really looking at what is their life sentence. You know, kids at the age of 13, 14 are already telling themselves they're not lovable, they're no good. Good enough. And that actually comes out in their energy, and bullies see that vulnerability. You know, people, you know, if people, the sad thing is that human nature can see something which is vulnerable and begin to pick on them, and if they get away with it, they will continue.
Indeed.
You know?
Indeed.
And then of course I do work with adults as well, as you say. I mean, bullying happens in the adult world as well. So, you know, I look at leadership stuff, I look at, you know, self-esteem.
How do you find yourself in the space and the context of a Black Canadian? What do you think that experience taught you about your Black Canadianness?
I'd say that actually there's a real pride in being a Black Canadian, which is very different from being a Black
British. Indeed, very much so. Very different, yes, I have to agree.
You know, I can be a Black Canadian and people will accept it. People, you know, no, where are you from or whatever. I can be a Black Canadian.
Indeed.
And there is a real pride in it. So I think for me what it taught me is that actually I'm in a country where Black people feel very proud to be part of that country. Whereas in England, it's very different.
It's very different. You know, a lot of people in Canada came from somewhere, you know, even though there are some who might need reminding, but, you know, it's that idea that, you know, we're all from somewhere, and there is much better acceptance in that realm, and I think it's a beautiful thing.
It's very interesting. There was a kid in the bank, Black kid from England working in TD Canada, and he couldn't cope with Vancouver. He was going back to England.
Oh, wow.
And I said, great. I said, welcome back to being stopped in your nice posh car.
Indeed,
I was in England this year, and several times I went into a store and I was followed around. I thought, welcome home.
Yes.
You know, it's just, and I walked into a shopping centre, it was cold, I had my hood up, I got swarmed. I got swarmed.
It's a terrible thing.
By these, by security, it was by security, it was at Stratford, that big shopping centre. I got swarmed. It's like, oh my God, what's happening here?
Welcome back, you know.
Welcome back.
Exactly. You know, you have been through a lot of, you know, things, and you are such an example to so many in terms of the fact that we don't allow whatever lot that life deals us, and the fact that you were able to have the courage and the will to stand up. What do you think those past experiences, how do you think that they've helped to shape you into the woman that you are today?
I would say that my past doesn't shape me anymore. Once upon a time, it did shape me. You know, when I had the eating disorders, when I had the addictions, when I had the stinking thinking, then I would say that my past shaped me. But no, I've moved beyond that. In a way, I would say the present moment shapes me more and more. It's just being in
it's
the
about living in the now.
Yes.
That's what the important thing is. You know, I gotta tell you that not a lot of people will have the sheer will and the courage to move through all of these things and absolutely go and become who they truly want to be. Your life is a true example of what many ought to do when they feel like they don't like where they are. Dr. Valerie Mason-John, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so very much for being on the show.
Thank you, Lola. It's been a delight. Thank you.
Wow, and how incredibly powerful is that story? And if we learn anything at all, it is the fact that life isn't fair. That at some point we will all experience situations that will or may bring us to our knees. But the greatest power is in realizing that it isn't about what happens to us, but the spirit in which we choose to deal with those experiences in our lives. And if we continue to make the right choices, only good will come to happen to us in the end. We'll be right back.
Today's generation of young people spend the least amount of time outside of any generation in human history. We need to have children out, we need to have people out in order to see the world around that allows us to live. I think something like the Sea to Sky Trail is the epitome of what we need to get people back out into the real world, to see nature as it can be, and something that we are a part of and that we must fight to protect.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching The Ledge on what is our second episode that we're calling Building Good Out of a Bad Situation. Now, Ty, this has just been an incredible day, and I couldn't tell you more. All my guests today really epitomize that notion of being able to come out of a bad situation and build something good out of that, and you truly represent that yourself. So you really are an inspiration to all of these kids and everyone watching you at home right now. Now, like I said, to all the kids who are watching from home right now, some of these kids are getting bullied right now. They think it's life ending. You've been through this. Yes. What advice would you give to all the kids who are watching right now?
Well, basically, if anyone is being bullied, the tools to overcome that are already inside of you. We may not know it, and it may take something like our program here to help bring that out. But there are plenty of people that are here to support you, whether it be your parents, your teachers, or your senseis, who can help you get past it. It's not something that we can all do by ourselves, but if we need to, we have the tools and the people there that can help us get through it.
I couldn't agree more. You know, I am of the notion that sometimes it's some of the biggest things that challenge us that really come to bring us to where we are supposed to be in life. Definitely. And you truly epitomize that today.
If someone's bullying you, please go to the website stopabully.ca. They are Canada's anti-bullying reporting system. They are safe and it is anonymous. Or call Kids Help Phone at 1-800-668-6868.
Hey guys, so this is the part of the show where I read some of your letters that you send into our website, our Ask Lola column. And this one says, Dear Lola, I don't know if you're going to get the chance to read this or even get this. Of course. And it says, I have known my girlfriend since college, and the three of us always hang out together, we go shopping, we party together, but there are times that I feel that I'm on the outside because my two girlfriends, both of whom are married, and I'm single, often gang up on me, making fun of me constantly, saying things about my hair or my makeup, or saying I need a boyfriend, or how I cook when they come over. Now, even though I laugh this off normally, laugh with them when they're doing it, it really hurts my feelings. And whenever I stay silent because it's not funny anymore, they say I can't take a joke. Like I said, they're both married and I'm single, and I can't help but think that they think that they're better than me now. But I'm very much happy being single. I just don't need my friends judging my choices. Well, okay, I think I can't help but feel that maybe this friendship is maybe coming to its expiry date. But first of all, I think it's something that you need to sit down and talk to them about and just let them know how it makes you feel. I mean, there's no doubt that, you know, oftentimes most of the people that we grow up with, we end up growing apart because we all want different things out of life. And frankly, I don't think anyone should be criticizing anyone for not having a boyfriend or for not being married, because really it's a choice thing and we can't all want the same thing. But most importantly, I think after you spoke to them about this, let them know how it makes you feel. And if you feel that you're not getting any joy from it and they're not responding to how this is making you feel, then I think it's time that you learn to maybe give your absence to those who don't appreciate your presence. So I really wish you the best of luck, and I hope it all works out.
For more on The Ledge, please visit our website For access to show resources and services, click on the About button for more on how The Ledge was born. You can see my first ever broadcast production before Shah TV. And below, you can find some of my music as well. For our advice column, click on the Ask Lola button to send me questions and share problems that might be weighing you down. And during some of our episodes, I'll pick out 1 or 2 random questions to answer for you during our programming. And if you would like to catch up on some of our past shows, click on the Episodes button, and there you can watch all of our past shows. And if you just want to say hello and tell us how we're doing, we'd love to hear from you. Click on the Contact Us button, and away you go. Get in touch with us and say hello. Would you like to work on The Ledge? Scroll down to our careers section below. The Ledge is always looking for talented interns who want to work in an exciting environment. Check out the positions you want and send your resumes to interns@theledgetvshow.com. I look forward to hearing from you all real soon.
Well, that's our show. We've had such a great time with the folks here at Superior Martial Arts. Did you have fun?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Indeed. Well, that's our show. I'd like to thank my guests, Dr. Valerie Mason-John, Ty Reid, and the folks here at Superior Martial Arts. And you at home, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions or comments, or you just want to tell us how we're doing, please send us a message to our address, theledgetvmedia@gmail.com, or any of our Facebook pages, or you can tweet me at Lola Acala. And remember, guys, it is so much better to spread love than hate, because love is so much more powerful and beautiful. Until next time, take care of one another, and we'll see you soon.
Bye! Before you know it, it's only a matter of time. It's right before you. So don't give up. Know, truly know, God has done you wrong. It all becomes so clear.